You know what keeps me up at night? It's not the typical worries that plague most health researchers. It's watching seniors shuffle into gyms, intimidated by complex machines and crowded spaces, when some of the most powerful cardiovascular medicine might be waiting for them right outside their front door. I'm talking about something so simple, so accessible, that it almost seems too good to be true. Power walking. But here's where it gets interesting, and why I need you to stay with me through this entire discussion, because what I'm about to share might completely transform how you think about exercise, heart health, and aging. We're going to dissect whether brisk power walking or structured gym workouts offer superior cardiovascular benefits for seniors. And I'm not just throwing opinions at you. We're specifically examining the metabolic and fat-burning responses each activity elicits, backed by research that most people never hear about. We'll uncover how simple, accessible movement can profoundly impact heart health and overall vitality, providing clear, actionable insights for maintaining an active lifestyle that doesn't require you to become a gym rat or invest thousands in equipment and memberships. Let me start with something that might surprise you. The human heart doesn't actually care whether you're lifting weights on a chrome machine or striding purposefully through your neighborhood. What it cares about is consistent, appropriate stimulus that challenges your cardiovascular system without overwhelming it. And this is where the conversation gets fascinating, because for decades, we've been sold this narrative that real fitness requires gym memberships, personal trainers, and sophisticated equipment. But the research tells a very different story, especially when we're talking about seniors and heart health. Think about how your body actually works for a moment. Your cardiovascular system is essentially a delivery network, transporting oxygen and nutrients to every cell while hauling away metabolic waste. When you exercise, you're not just burning calories or building muscle. You're training this entire network to become more efficient, more resilient, more capable of handling the demands of daily life. And here's the crucial part that most people miss. The best type of exercise for this system isn't necessarily the most intense or the most complex. It's the one that provides consistent, moderate challenge over extended periods. Power walking does something remarkable to your body that you need to understand. When you walk at a brisk pace, maintaining a speed that elevates your heart rate to somewhere between 60 and 75% of your maximum, you enter what exercise physiologists call the aerobic training zone. In this zone, your body primarily burns fat for fuel, and this is absolutely critical for seniors because fat metabolism plays a massive role in cardiovascular health. Your body is actually learning to become more efficient at using its fat stores for energy, which means you're not just exercising during that 30 or 40-minute walk. You're reprogramming your metabolism to function more effectively throughout the entire day. But let's dig deeper into what's happening at the cellular level, because this is where power walking reveals its true power. When you engage in sustained aerobic activity like brisk walking, you trigger a cascade of adaptations in your cardiovascular system. Your heart muscle itself becomes stronger, able to pump more blood with each beat. This means your resting heart rate drops over time, and your heart doesn't have to work as hard to meet your body's oxygen demands. Meanwhile, your blood vessels become more elastic and responsive, better able to dilate and constrict as needed to regulate blood pressure and blood flow. Your body even creates new capillaries, those tiny blood vessels that deliver oxygen directly to your tissues in a process called angiogenesis. It's like your cardiovascular system is building new roads to handle increased traffic. Now, I know what you're thinking. The gym must offer something more, right? All those machines, all that variety. Surely that provides benefits that simple walking can't match. And you're partially correct, but not in the way most people assume. Structured gym workouts, particularly those involving resistance training, absolutely provide value for seniors. They build muscle mass, which naturally declines with age in a process called sarcopenia. They improve bone density, crucial for preventing osteoporosis. They enhance balance and coordination, reducing fall risk. These are real, significant benefits that we cannot ignore. But here's where the comparison becomes truly interesting. When we specifically examine cardiovascular health and metabolic function, power walking consistently demonstrates advantages that might shock you. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Cardiology followed over 1,500 seniors for nearly a decade, comparing various exercise modalities. The researchers found that participants who engaged in regular brisk walking showed cardiovascular improvements that matched or exceeded those who performed structured gym-based aerobic exercises. Even more intriguingly, the walkers showed better adherence rates, meaning they were more likely to stick with their exercise program long-term. And in health and fitness, consistency trumps intensity almost every single time.
Let me paint you a picture of what happens metabolically during a power walking session versus a typical gym workout, because the differences are illuminating. When you power walk, especially if you're doing it outdoors in varied terrain, your body must constantly make tiny adjustments to maintain balance and forward momentum. You're engaging stabilizer muscles throughout your core, hips, and legs. Your proprioceptive system, which governs your sense of body position in space, is firing continuously. Your cardiovascular system maintains a steady, elevated output for the entire duration of your walk. This creates what we call a sustained metabolic demand, and it's this sustained nature that triggers profound adaptations. Compare this to a typical gym workout for a senior. You might spend 5 minutes on a treadmill for warm-up, then move to a chest press machine for 3 sets of 12 repetitions. Then you rest for a minute or two while you move to the next machine. Maybe you do some leg presses, some lat pull-downs, some bicep curls. Each exercise certainly has value. But notice the pattern. Short bursts of effort followed by rest periods. Your heart rate spikes during the working sets, then drops during rest. From a cardiovascular conditioning standpoint, you're getting interval training, which has its own benefits, but you're not maintaining that sustained aerobic challenge that drives the deep cardiovascular adaptations we're seeking.
Now, let's talk about something most fitness discussions ignore: the psychological and neurological aspects of exercise for seniors. Power walking, especially when done outdoors, provides multi-sensory stimulation that gym environments simply cannot replicate. You're processing visual information from your changing environment, which keeps your brain engaged and alert. You're adapting to varying terrain, weather conditions, and obstacles. Studies in neuroscience have shown that this type of dynamic outdoor exercise promotes neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new neural connections more effectively than repetitive indoor exercise. For seniors concerned about cognitive decline, this is enormously significant. You're not just training your heart, you're training your brain. There's also the vitamin D factor that nobody talks about enough. When you power walk outdoors during daylight hours, you're exposing your skin to sunlight, which triggers vitamin D synthesis. Vitamin D plays crucial roles in cardiovascular health, immune function, mood regulation, and bone health. Seniors are particularly prone to vitamin D deficiency, and while you can certainly take supplements, the evidence suggests that sunlight-derived vitamin D may be more effectively utilized by the body. The gym, with its fluorescent lighting and climate-controlled environment, provides zero vitamin D benefits.
But I don't want to completely dismiss gym workouts, because that would be intellectually dishonest and practically unhelpful. There are specific scenarios where gym-based exercise offers distinct advantages for seniors. If you live in an area with extreme weather conditions, harsh winters or scorching summers, the gym provides a controlled environment where you can exercise safely year-round. If you have specific mobility limitations or joint issues, certain gym machines can provide supported, low-impact exercise that might be difficult to replicate outdoors. If you're recovering from an injury or surgery, physical therapists often use gym equipment for targeted rehabilitation exercises. The resistance training available at gyms also deserves serious consideration. As we age, we lose muscle mass at an accelerating rate. roughly 3 to 5% per decade after age 30, and this rate increases after 60. This muscle loss directly impacts metabolic rate, functional independence, and quality of life. Power walking alone, while excellent for cardiovascular health, provides limited stimulus for building or maintaining muscle mass. This is where gym-based resistance training becomes genuinely valuable. Exercises like leg presses, chest presses, and rows, performed with appropriate resistance, can help seniors maintain muscle mass and bone density in ways that walking cannot.
So, where does this leave us? Are we stuck choosing between power walking for cardiovascular benefits and gym workouts for strength and muscle maintenance? Not at all. And this is where the science offers us a beautiful solution. The optimal approach for most seniors isn't an either-or proposition. It's a thoughtful combination that emphasizes power walking as the foundation of cardiovascular fitness while incorporating strategic resistance training to address muscle and bone health. Let me give you a practical framework that synthesizes the research into actionable guidance. Imagine structuring your week around 4 to 5 power walking sessions, each lasting 30 to 45 minutes, performed at a pace that elevates your heart rate but still allows you to hold a conversation, though not comfortably. This is sometimes called the talk test, and it's a remarkably accurate way to gauge appropriate intensity without needing heart rate monitors or complex calculations. On 2 or 3 non-consecutive days, you incorporate resistance training, either at a gym or using simple equipment at home like resistance bands or light dumbbells. These sessions don't need to be lengthy or complex. 20 to 30 minutes of basic compound movements, exercises that work multiple muscle groups simultaneously, provides tremendous benefit.
This combined approach addresses every major component of fitness that matters for seniors: cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, bone density, balance, flexibility, and metabolic health. But here's the critical insight that ties everything together. Power walking should be your foundation, your non-negotiable baseline, because it's the activity that most directly targets cardiovascular health while being the most sustainable, accessible, and inherently enjoyable for most people. The fat-burning aspects of power walking deserve deeper exploration because they relate directly to cardiovascular health in ways that many people don't understand. When you engage in moderate-intensity aerobic exercise like brisk walking, your body preferentially burns fat for fuel. This occurs because at moderate intensities, your body has sufficient oxygen available to completely metabolize fat molecules, a process that requires more oxygen than burning carbohydrates, but yields more energy per gram. Over time, regular power walking enhances your body's ability to utilize fat for energy, which has profound implications beyond just weight management. Improved fat metabolism directly impacts cardiovascular health through multiple pathways. First, it helps regulate blood lipid levels, reducing harmful LDL cholesterol and triglycerides, while potentially increasing beneficial HDL cholesterol. Second, it improves insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells become more responsive to insulin and better able to regulate blood sugar. This is crucial because insulin resistance and diabetes are major risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Third, enhanced fat metabolism reduces the accumulation of visceral fat, the dangerous fat that surrounds your internal organs and secretes inflammatory compounds that damage blood vessel walls and promote atherosclerosis. The gym environment, with its emphasis on higher intensity interval work and resistance training, tends to rely more heavily on carbohydrate metabolism. This isn't inherently bad, and these workouts certainly burn calories and provide valuable training stimulus, but they don't promote the same metabolic adaptations related to fat utilization that sustained moderate intensity walking achieves. When we're specifically focused on cardiovascular health for seniors, this metabolic distinction becomes extremely important. There's also something we need to discuss about exercise adherence and long-term success, because the best exercise program in the world is worthless if you don't actually do it.
Research consistently shows that simpler, more accessible forms of exercise, like walking, have dramatically higher adherence rates than gym-based programs. The reasons are multifaceted and worth understanding. Walking requires no special equipment, no gym membership, no transportation to a facility. It can be done virtually anywhere at any time and can easily be integrated into daily life. You can walk to run errands, walk in your neighborhood, walk with friends or family members. It's inherently social and practical in ways that gym workouts rarely are. The psychological barriers to gym exercise are very real, especially for seniors who may feel intimidated by gym environments, self-conscious about their fitness level or appearance, or overwhelmed by complex equipment and exercise routines. These barriers lead to inconsistency, and inconsistency is the death of fitness progress. Power walking eliminates most of these barriers entirely. You can start literally by walking out your front door. The learning curve is non-existent. The social judgment factor is minimal. The financial investment is essentially zero beyond a decent pair of walking shoes.
Let me share something that rarely gets mentioned in these discussions: the relationship between exercise enjoyment and long-term health outcomes. Studies have found that people who genuinely enjoy their chosen form of exercise are far more likely to maintain it for years or decades, and this long-term consistency is what actually drives meaningful health improvements. For many seniors, walking through their neighborhood, a local park, or nature trails is simply more enjoyable than being inside a gym. They experience fresh air, changing scenery, connection with nature, and often social interaction with other walkers. This enjoyment factor isn't frivolous or secondary. It's absolutely fundamental to whether someone will still be exercising 5, 10, or 20 years from now. Now, I want to address some common objections and concerns, because I know some of you are thinking about reasons why power walking might not work for you. Some people worry that walking isn't intense enough to provide real cardiovascular benefits. The research definitively refutes this concern. Multiple studies have shown that brisk walking, when performed regularly at appropriate intensity, produces cardiovascular adaptations comparable to more intense forms of exercise. The key is maintaining that brisk pace that elevates your heart rate into the aerobic training zone, not just casual strolling.
Others worry about joint impact, particularly if they have arthritis or previous injuries. Interestingly, walking is generally far easier on joints than many gym exercises. The motion is natural and low impact, and the consistent, rhythmic movement can actually help lubricate joints and reduce stiffness. Compare this to some gym equipment that may force joints into unnatural movement patterns or create compression forces that aggravate existing problems. Obviously, individual circumstances vary, and anyone with significant joint issues should consult with healthcare providers. But in general, walking is among the most joint-friendly exercises available. Some seniors express concern about safety, whether from traffic, uneven surfaces, or crime. These are legitimate considerations that require practical solutions. Walking in well-maintained parks or tracks, choosing daylight hours, walking with companions, and using appropriate footwear to prevent trips and falls can address most safety concerns. Some communities have indoor walking tracks or mall walking programs specifically designed for seniors, combining the benefits of walking with climate control and security.
The financial aspect deserves explicit discussion because it's a real barrier for many seniors living on fixed incomes. A quality gym membership can easily cost $50 to $100 monthly, and that's before considering additional costs like personal training, specialized classes, or appropriate workout clothing. Over a year, this represents a significant financial commitment. Power walking requires essentially no ongoing financial investment. A good pair of walking shoes, which you'd need anyway for daily life, is the only real expense. This financial accessibility makes power walking genuinely democratic, available to anyone regardless of economic circumstances.
Let's circle back to the specific cardiovascular benefits and really drill down into what the research shows. A comprehensive meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine examined dozens of studies involving thousands of participants and found that regular walking reduced cardiovascular disease risk by approximately 35%. Even more remarkably, this benefit was dose-dependent, meaning more walking correlated with greater risk reduction, but the relationship wasn't linear. The biggest jump in benefits occurred when people went from sedentary to moderately active, walking just 30 minutes most days of the week. Additional walking beyond this baseline provided additional benefits, but with diminishing returns.
This finding is absolutely crucial for seniors because it means you don't need to become an exercise fanatic or walk for hours daily to achieve meaningful cardiovascular protection. A reasonable, sustainable commitment to 30 to 45 minutes of brisk walking most days delivers the vast majority of potential benefits. This is achievable for almost anyone, and its achievability is precisely what makes it so powerful as a public health intervention. The metabolic effects extend beyond just fat burning into areas like insulin sensitivity and glucose regulation. Regular walking has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity by 20 to 25% in older adults, reducing diabetes risk and helping manage existing diabetes. Given that diabetes is a major cardiovascular risk factor, this metabolic benefit translates directly into heart health. The mechanism involves multiple factors. Muscle contractions during walking activate glucose transporters that help cells absorb blood sugar without requiring as much insulin. Walking reduces body fat, which itself improves insulin sensitivity. And regular exercise appears to have direct effects on cellular insulin receptors.
Blood pressure benefits are equally impressive and particularly relevant for seniors, since hypertension is extremely common in older populations and a leading cardiovascular risk factor. Regular brisk walking has been shown to reduce both systolic and diastolic blood pressure by 5 to 10 points on average, effects comparable to many blood pressure medications. The mechanisms include improved vascular function, reduced arterial stiffness, better autonomic nervous system balance, and reduced sympathetic nervous system activity. For many seniors, establishing a consistent walking routine could potentially reduce medication needs or dosages, though any medication changes should obviously be made only under medical supervision. The inflammation story is another piece of the cardiovascular puzzle that power walking addresses beautifully. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now recognized as a key driver of atherosclerosis and cardiovascular disease. Inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha tend to be elevated in sedentary individuals and are associated with increased cardiovascular risk. Regular moderate-intensity exercise like walking reduces these inflammatory markers, creating a less inflammatory internal environment that's less conducive to blood vessel damage and plaque formation.
So, after examining all this evidence, dissecting the metabolic responses, considering the practical realities, and weighing the cardiovascular benefits, what's the verdict? For most seniors focused primarily on heart health, power walking emerges as the superior foundation for a fitness program. It provides excellent cardiovascular conditioning, promotes beneficial metabolic adaptations, offers unique psychological and neurological benefits, and most importantly, it's sustainable and enjoyable enough that people actually do it consistently over the long term. The gym has its place, particularly for targeted resistance training to maintain muscle mass and bone density, but it should be viewed as a complement to walking, not a replacement for it.
The simple truth is that your heart doesn't need fancy equipment or complicated routines. It needs consistent, moderate challenge delivered through natural human movement. Power walking provides exactly that, wrapped in a package that's accessible, affordable, safe, and genuinely pleasant for most people. The profound impact on heart health and overall vitality comes not from exercise intensity or complexity, but from the steady accumulation of thousands of steps, hundreds of walking sessions, building cardiovascular resilience one stride at a time. That's the clear, actionable insight that the research overwhelmingly supports. Lace up your shoes, step outside, and walk briskly for 30 to 45 minutes most days. Your heart will thank you for it, today and for decades to come.